Jeez, that scares me every time.
Yeah, robots, am I right?
Right. We were we'll come up with something.
Oh,
We'll,
trust me,
we'll,
that's
we will
creativity.
we will come up with something. But anyways, hi guys. We're back
Yeah,
again. I'm so proud of us. We found time to record another episode in such a short period of time.
in our busy schedules too.
Very busy. I have so many things I have to do.
Don't even get me
But
started on 3D animation. Whoo-wee.
that I I have not even gotten into that, but we will. But hey guys, welcome. This is the AAA podcast where we're all about animation here. And today, once again, I'm here with my co-host, Justin. And in case you haven't noticed, I'm Aubrey. That was horrible. But we're gonna roll with it.
That's right, because on this about animation podcast, we roll with the punches. We
Roll
deliver
with the
products.
punches.
If the animation isn't finished, we simply say it's part one of two.
Exactly. That's always how I label my stuff. Part one, part two, part three, part four. Officially, unofficially. It labels are nice.
They allow me to
It
just change the perception of my product. It's like, wait, you said you'd finish this. It is finished. It's just the first part of the finale.
it's just the first part. I might need to make changes later. So if I
hmm
do, I'll name it part two.
And technically, you're getting more than you just hold up. Nah, because I've already put together. This could just be the finale. So you just consider this extra content.
Extra content. But anyway, there's been a change in schedules as of late. I think we mentioned last episode that we were going to talk about the Owl House, but we realized that we might have bitten more off than we can chew because that's a hefty topic that needs planning. And quite frankly, we just don't have time. And we definitely wanted another episode out for you guys to listen to. So we decided today's topic is just going to be stop motion animation. And if you don't know what stop motion animation is, refer to these movies: Coraline, Corpse Bride, James and the Giant Peach. Just from that, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just refer to those when I mean stop motion animation. And we're gonna have a free, open conversation today, just about stop motion animation. We're not even There's no plans, no rhythm, no rhymes. We're just gonna go right into it and talk about it. Have an open discussion of sorts. Because honestly, stop motion animation needs to be talked about. It is the probably, in my opinion, one of the more difficult types of animation to create and one of the most unique looking. And not only it doesn't get enough praise, and it also doesn't get enough attention because a, a lot of stop motion animation movies are like nines and tens out of tens. Like they are great movies that don't even get to see the light of day compared to like other movies. And I get it. Those other 2D, 3D movies are like Disney and Pixar created, but you know, there's something to be said about stop motion animation. What do you think?
I think today we're going to say it. We're going to give the due respect that the Kubos, the Coralines, the Fantastic Mr.
Mr. Fox,
Foxes,
I was glad you said that. I'm
that
glad you said that.
we're going to give them the attention that they deserve. And even that won't be enough because any attention, any clout, any eyes we can give to stop motion like this isn't enough, bro. The amount of work that goes into just a single frame and then having to completely change that for the next frame, it's just, whew, I'll tell you, stop motion is just an art that is underappreciated. You know, Aubrey, there's actually this project, you know, Cuphead, right?
Uh-huh.
There is another studio that wants to design a Cuphead-like game, but instead of using old-timey rubber hose animation, they are going to use embroidery for every single character art. Every pixel,
Interesting.
they're going to make embroidered characters. And that's just, everyone's looking at them like, why would you go through all this work? And stop motion isn't about the efficiency, it's about the passion.
Not only that, and it's about the result. Like, cause it's a work in progress. Let me tell you, as somebody who's done it and has made my whole senior thesis, it that topic and made the whole animation, just stop motion animation. It's a process, and when you finally are done and it's all edited and it all comes together, the product looks amazing. Like, it's so unique, and I don't understand why companies such as Disney doesn't try their hand at it. They have the money to do it, but I guess they like just pumping out, movies every year or so with no care and concern.
We'll get to
Okay.
the Moana live action later.
I'm not even. Trust me. I'm not watching that. I'm not even talking about that since it's not even in the animation. I'm more or less talking about movies. Which Raya deserved better,
Really, it did.
but that's not. We're not talking about 2D or 3D. We're talking about stop motion. I'm glad you mentioned Fantastic Mr. Fox because it's one of those underrated movies that's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, those that movie along with Isle of Dogs are like two of the most wow. This movie was made for someone like me, someone like Aubrey, someone like anyone who's in the audience for All About Animation that's like, wow, no, this is like all these jokes are coming directly at me. They're not flying over my head. The animation, the art style, it's all just tailor made for people who are like, yeah, I can appreciate the artistry that goes into this work.
And not only that, the animation, like there's a difference between that type of like the animation they do is actually very stylistic. Like it's very different. It's weird. I love it. Like it I could talk about Fantastic Mr. Fox all day and not even animation wise, but story like the stories stop motion animation is just it's great. I love the stories that they tell with that. And I think it's because they know they have to be very precise in what they do, that they have to craft their stories around that process.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for you to, have a fight scene in a 3D or a 2D. Actually, no, nobody does 2D animation anymore, so technically 3D. 3D, that's easy for you to just create a fight scene in 3D, but like in stop motion, you really gotta plan that out. You really have to storyboard that out, and you have to make sure everything is perfect because one wrong frame can mess up the whole entire project.
And don't get me started the fact that you're working with these puppets, making sure that arms, eyes don't fall off, especially the heads. Like,
I've had that happen. My
oh
arm
yeah,
fell off.
Aubrey, illuminate them, tell them how it went.
Yeah, my arm fell off. Once again, I mentioned earlier that I did stop motion for my senior thesis. And let me tell you, the arm fell off midway through the shoot.
And did you
I
have to fix that?
almost cried because I had to stop everything, turn the lights off. Other thing, lighting was burning the burning the because I had like a styrofoam head, but like clay eyes, and I did not know that if the lighting was a little bit too high, that the clay would burn into the styrofoam.
Ooh,
I and that was another thing that I had to face with. It was just a mess. But going back to the arm thing, it was I had to stop everything and I had to carefully put the arm back in place without moving the whole body. That way, all I would have to do is just reshoot what I just did and not have to worry about, reshooting a whole other portion and then possibly reshooting a whole nother portion. It's because it's a domino effect. Once one thing happens, five other thing happens. And it's like, it's very stressful, and I was under a time constraint because I had to have this done in this amount of time because when I was doing it, it was during the summer and I had already a vacation lined up. And so I needed everything to be done. It didn't have to be edited, but it just had to be put together and done first. And I just needed that to be done. And so when that happened, it was just so stressful. And let me tell you, but it was worth it because the outcome is amazing. I can't wait for people to see that at our senior show. I really can't.
and speaking of seeing your show, make sure y'all tune in at March 4th around 4 to 7 p.m., where will be the first official screening of Aubrey's secret senior thesis.
Yours too. Don't know. Let's talk about it. I know we're talking about stop motion, but you have a little animation too. A little, what is it, a minute animation, like a very, very short film.
And I'm pretty sure it's around 2 minutes. I don't know where the 1 minute allegations came from, but I can assure you it is longer than that.
Hey, I heard from a source.
So not all sources are reliable. We can tell you that much, but not all about animation. You only get the best information here.
Oh, the best, the best. The warranted and the unwarranted ones.
That's right. That tier list, that was completely factual. You can't argue that.
Honestly, I didn't even put speaking of tier list, I didn't put they might not even know what we're talking about because I didn't put that pilot episode out.
Well, in that case, stay tuned for the release of that episode coming
No,
in the future.
we gotta get more viewers first for me to put that out. If we get more, our goal, let's say our goal is to get 100 subscribers. If we can get 100 subscribers, I'm gonna release that episode.
Okay. Yeah, I feel
So
like that'll be the surprise for him. Kind of like Gravity Falls in the pilot episode.
yeah, tell your friends, tell everybody who's watching this. If you want to see that pilot episode where we rank cartoons, then let's get us to 100 subscribers. We will love it. We will appreciate it. Let's get some more likes on this one too. I appreciate everybody who viewed and subscribed to our what 2, 3, 5 subscribers. I would have to check. I appreciate you guys, but come on, let's get some more. We're trying to get our name out there. We're trying to be like the big what's the big podcast? I
I
can't
don't
think of
think
a
there's
big.
anyone like it.
You're right. I'm pretty sure there's some. Shout out to Overly Animated. I like their
Sure.
podcast. They're a good podcast. But back to stop motion. What is your favorite stop motion film? I talked about mine. What's yours?
Mm, I'd say it'd have to be, and this is a deep cut. This is a deep cut right here. The 1960s Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
Mhm.
those.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? I forget. Like I always forget that stop motion for some odd reason. I always forget. I don't know why. Like
Yeah.
all those shorts and stuff, that's all stop motion. I always forget. And they're old too, but they still look great. Like I watched them every Christmas.
And for the 1960s too, it's like, sure, we haven't even started getting into computer graphics. Do not eat. Is a computer something that's in someone's house in the 1960s? No, not at all. So this was maybe potentially out of necessity, but they put in so much personality to every single character, from the big heads on the elves to Rudolph's little funny small uh, basically like a cotton ball for a mouth, and the scariness that they managed to imbue in like what a 3 inch tall abominable snowman figure. That's what made me realize, yeah, no, stop motion it's more than just the computer skill. It's about the personality. It's about the love.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna say this. Thinking about it, I can definitely tell that sets like there were sets made. It definitely looked like it was on the set, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, yeah, no, this holds up. They're over here with the earliest potential green screen, just like carpet painted white, clay caves, foam cutouts. It's just, yeah, you're going what they got. And the framiness too, like the jitteriness of it, and the fact that they captured it all on like old day classic film. It just adds to like a warm coziness that you just don't get in some of the 3D animated or like newer 2D animated films.
Yeah, it is. And what's funny? Talking about like old animations, like I think my other than those, I think my first like exposure to like stop motion was probably James and the Giant Peach. And I really don't even remember my first time watching it. Like I have like a loose memory of it, but I remember like that movie being my first like real exposure to stop motion animation.
Yeah, James and the Giant Peach was one of those movies that I tuned into, and it's like, whoa, this is so mysterious and so interesting. But then I completely like blocked it out of my memory because Cartoon Network only aired it once, and they should have aired it more. But it's one of those things that I always remember faintly because when you see stop motion, it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the most unique visions you can like perceive. Just something straight out of someone's imagination coming straight to life. And that's why movies like Fantastic Mr. Fox, James and the Giant Peach, Isle of Dogs are just like unforgettable. Even if you do forget about the plot or the characters, you won't forget the how it looks.
I know I said Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of my favorites, like stop motion movies, but I have to say, like my all-time favorite, like one that I can watch repeatedly, like the one that I have the soundtrack for, is Corpse Bride.
Ooh,
A Leica movie, a non-Leica movie that feels like a Leica movie, in my opinion.
that's actually one I haven't seen, so I'm gonna have to get your
What?
opinion. Yeah,
That
I know.
Corpse Bride you haven't seen?
On All About Animation, we have to say we don't have all the animations, or I can personally say I don't have all the animations.
Yeah, I can see. I had this movie on DVD. I've watched this movie so many times. It is so it's it was a first of all, it was a in terms of color, it was beautiful. Like what because you might have seen the poster for it. I think you might have seen the poster for it, and in the poster it shows like a regular, guy that's all gray looking, and then a dead girl, a dead bride next to him that has color. And let me tell you, it reflects in the movie. Spoiler, but not really, since I'm talking about the color and not the actual film. In the When we're in the focus of the guy, the main character, the guy main character, all of everything is gray. But when we start focusing, it's like everything is gray in his world and everything. But when we start focusing on the female main character, everything in her world is full of color. She's full of color despite them being dead. It is such a beautiful contrast. I loved that movie. Is so beautiful. The soundtrack, Danny Elfman also worked on the
Oh,
music for
well,
this.
that's how you know it's iconic.
First of all, any music by Danny Elfman is a banger. Let me tell you, the soundtrack is amazing. Everything about this movie is amazing. You need to watch it. I am disappointed in you. How dare you?
Well, listen, I was busy watching Howl's Moving Castle for the first time, so cut me some slack.
Excuse
There are a lot of things that I need to catch up on. Nigerian households aren't necessarily the bastions for animation, so I have a lot of work to do to catch up to my peers.
me? Have you seen Princess Mononoke?
Yes, I have. Don't try
Okay, no.
catching me slipping. I'm not that.
Okay. Ponyo.
Anyway, about Tim Burton's
Okay,
films, they're really
okay,
just iconic in the
okay,
way that
okay.
the characters are just so every aspect of their design lets you know who they are. Like, sure, in a Pixar movie, you might see the classic like round, like Mario nose and the slightly bigger eyes, so much so that it's like a Snapchat or TikTok filter at this point. But you'll never ever see two characters in stop motion that are exactly the same unless it's completely designed intentionally. Every character is designed with that personality in mind.
You know what? I wish we had more studios like Leica. Like Leica is literally the only studio that focuses on stop motion animation that makes feature length films. Other than them, you only see like people on like YouTube or Instagram who make small little animations. And it's really upsetting because first of all, them animators on Instagram that I see are talented. Let me tell you, it's some of the smoothest stop motion animation I've ever seen. And it's just like, you first of all, y'all need to have your own studio. We need some more stop motion studios around. Because here's the thing. When you like it stop motion takes longer than any a regular 3D and even 2D movie. It takes longer. So when like I'm like first of all, I don't even know the timeline of like this movies, but if we look, I'm telling you, there's gonna be a good couple of gaps in between. Like you have, let's see. Coraline. You have Coraline, 2009. You have Paranorman, 2000.
I
Oh
think
wait,
that was
no, that
20.
was not like a. What's that like? Wait a minute.
Aaron Norman was definitely like a.
Okay, I get because there's other studios that make like stop motion, like that one-off stop motion animation movie. So I was like, wait a minute, is Paranorman? Because I definitely remember. Oh, you know what? It is like a. I'm so sorry. Like a how like
It's
it's gonna be. They're gonna be so disappointed. They're like, how did you not know
You
this?
know, you can list their catalog off the top of your head, Coraline, Paranorman.
Missing Link.
No, Kubo came out before Missing Link.
Okay, my bad. Cubo, Box Trolls.
Oh, and then we missed Box Trolls too, because Box Trolls came out before Kubo. You see, they
Okay,
make
so here's the lineup. Here's the lineup. I got you the lineup. So
Okay.
it's Coraline,
Mhm.
Paranorman,
Mhm.
Box Trolls,
Let's go Box Trolls.
Kubo, and then Missing Link. But it's like that's only what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films.
Yeah.
That's only 5 films, and which is crazy to me. And let me tell you, Coraline was 2009, Paranorman was 2012.
Oh, that's a short turnover time.
That's like a 3-year gap. And then I think the shortest is Box Trolls, because after Paranorman came out, Box Trolls came out in 2014. Then
Wow.
2 years after that, Kubo came out. And then it was 3 years again that Missing Link came out. So essentially, it's a 2 to 3 year time in between movies. 2 to 3 years to come out with a new movie. Now,
That's what we talked about with stop motion, man. You're not doing this because it's easy.
oh yeah, no. Oh, I think we forgot to mention the Godfather stop motion.
And that would be
Wallace and Gromit.
oh my goodness. Hold up. Are we talking about and let me Aardman? Are we talking about Aardman films?
Yes.
How did I forget about Chicken Run?
Yeah, and Chicken Run. Those were the before Leica could run. We had Aardman. We had Aardman. Aardman ran so Leica could walk.
That's right. They came out the gate swinging and said, "Quick, follow me."
Because I definitely forgot for a whole minute. I was like, I just thought about it. I said, wait a minute now. Like, wait a minute now. There was another studio who was out here making stop motion films that filled up my childhood, and it was Aardman and the Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, like Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep. Y'all, listen, okay? If any of y'all, and this might be a little bit of a tangent, if any of y'all growing up and y'all went on Nintendo Video, that's probably where some of y'all younger fans found out Shaun the Sheep was a thing because the classics were uploaded there.
Also, oh yeah, the Pirates and an Adventure with Scientists. That was
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you know what? They did Flushed Away. Flushed Away looked like it's a CGI. It's 3D. However, it definitely has that feel of stop motion.
See, it was so well animated that I didn't even realize it was 3D until you told me just now.
Oh, so you thought that was stop motion?
They captured the vibe perfectly. They pulled the Leica and said, "Hold no, I think in that case, Leica pulled of them."
I'm literally looking at their catalog. All of their stuff is either stop motion. Wow. A lot of their stuff is either stop motion or CGI, and that CGI is only in 2 movies, and that's Arthur's Christmas and Flushed Away. Everything else is stop motion, and majority of it is like Shaun the Sheep, like stuff. Not majority, but it has a Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep carries. Like they have some other like short like series things and like shorts and stuff. But yeah, I'm so sorry, Arvin. I'm so sorry. We forgot about you. We were going on about Leica, and we love you, Leica. We do, but we gotta talk about the Godfather first. We gotta talk about your father before we can get to the son.
That's right. And man, oh man, Aardman just has that person that like those characters as we talked about before. I feel like Aardman does it even more iconically because sure, they got a lot of similar signifiers, like characters, beady eyes, the classic ring mouth, but then the creativity they use and how they diversify it. When you're working in a box, the differences are a lot easier to spot. Like how Sean's mouth will show up on whichever side of his face is closer to the camera or whichever expression he's trying to make. How Pirates on an Adventure with Scientists, there's this one interesting character that's called Surprisingly Curvaceous Pirate, who's just a girl the entire time, and it's never actually like given a big plot point. It's just there because it's like, well, it's just funny. Just imagine if there's just like a pirate that nobody expects.
And also, can we mention that Animations is a British one? Is a British
I had no
animation studio. It's not even in America, which makes sense because they definitely in Wallace and Gromit. I'm pretty sure they have accents.
I definitely
They,
think Wallace has the act. Is he Wallace? Yeah,
oh
he's
yeah,
Wallace.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, because yeah, Gromit he's like a Snoopy type. He doesn't talk.
Yeah, he's kind of like a dog, I think.
Well,
I don't
and yeah, he is kind of like a dog. Kind of, he does a little barking every so often. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
definitely a dog.
think so.
Yeah, I'm glad I remember that because we would have been talking about Leica for like the next like 20 minutes or so, and then I was like, wait a minute, no, 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 something just came to my mind, and also, Shaun the Sheep was on Disney.
Oh, that's one I didn't actually realize.
Yeah, Shaun the Sheep was on Disney. It was like a little short that they would play. Maybe I can't remember because it was such a long time ago. It was either like late at night or early in the morning, like the time where a 9-year-old shouldn't be up. You know.
Yeah, yeah, but that's where we found most of the animations we watch. It's like they put them there for a reason. They're like, listen, okay, they're not supposed to be up, but we know
Or they put them there because they wanted all their other shows to show and not the smaller ones. And I put that in quotes.
But if we're talking about where stop motion films are located or stop motion studios are located, you got to realize that they're actually starting to pop up a lot more and in a lot more diverse areas. I remember that when Leica showed up, they told us that the stop motion capital of the world, or at least in the US, was Oregon.
I believe that.
But now we've got ones popping up in different locations. Like we've got some in Vancouver, we've got some in Hollywood, with Buddy Systems. We've got
Mm.
one in Burbank, California, with the Shoto Bros, and
But, oh,
it's
sorry,
popping
go on.
up in like places like Australia, Japan. I didn't
Mm-mm.
even know they cared about stop motion like that.
Yeah, and you know what the crazy thing is? They will still never get the recognition. They will still never get the recognition. It will, and I don't know why. They're like, was it? There was a new stop motion movie that I haven't even gotten a chance to watch it on Netflix that just released. And once again, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, look at that, and never talked about it again. And it's just like, it's so unfortunate. It's just very unfortunate, like that we have to sit there and be like, why don't you watch this movie? It looks nice. Disney, why don't we try this? Y'all have money, right? Y'all don't have to keep on putting out films that nobody cares about or stuff like that. But hey, it is what it is.
You know what, Aubrey? I won't. It is what it is, this situation.
Eh,
There's this antiquated belief that animation is nothing but kids' content since the early 60s and whatnot, just being used in stories like
I
Care Bears,
mean, it was.
Teletubbies. But here's the thing, that's just the American mindset when it comes to animation. In every
Well,
other country, in France, in
mm,
Germany, in
mm-hmm.
Japan, they all use animation as a medium. Guillermo del Toro said it himself. It's a medium. It's telling the same stories, maybe even stories that live action is impossible to portray it in. And we got to make sure that people know that no matter what.
But you know what's funny though? It definitely did start into something that was for kids, but I think as time passed on, it kind of just delved into something else because the thing is, kids aren't dumb, or at least here's well, yeah, kids are not dumb, but I think they started people, artists, creators, whatever you want to call them, they started thinking about the middle ground between a child and an adult, and I feel like that preteen to teenage, like that, what, 12 to like, technically you're an adult when you're 18, but you're still a kid, like at least until you're 20. Like that middle age range, they need something. They still like watching cartoons and stuff, and when we're older, we start to I say grasp concepts and like storytelling and stuff like that. And so I feel like that's where the evolution came. Is that they started making stories for people who are older, but at the same time kept the childlike thing that's there, so kids can still watch it, but there will always be that layer of storytelling and stuff for people who are older, and
Exactly.
that's how
That's
I
why we
see
can go
it.
back to shows like Steven Universe and still be like, man, they
What?
run their back with this one.
Look, Steven Universe has its issues when it comes to writing. Don't get me wrong, but I'm more or less.
Yeah, give it its praise.
It has its issues. I love it. I love Steven Universe for all it does and tries to do, and it has its issues, but I still love it. Now, yeah, we can talk about a show like Rudy, who has a lot of writing issues. Granted,
Too
this
little
newer
time to get to
volume,
that one.
no, we're not even going to get into it. We're not
That's a
even going to get
later
into it.
episode.
That's a love episode to be. We're putting a pin in that. Um, but yeah, no, that show also has its issues. I'm trying to think of a show like Ben 10. Let's look at Ben 10.
Ooh,
Ben 10 was and it came out in our day. So they weren't there like storytelling was we was people they were just now getting the storytelling thing. Like Ben 10 is a perfect mix of like, oh yeah, this is still a cartoon, but we're still gonna tell the story with it. And they did.
yeah.
That's why it's like highly regarded. Like it's like it's still a cartoon, but it also manages to tell the story. And it doesn't do like dumb things like cause like now cartoons treats kids like they're dumb and maybe a 3-year-old will laugh at something like that, but a 10-year-old probably won't. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we can even talk about for an example, SpongeBob. SpongeBob has downgraded so much for me.
I like to think about this one joke in the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick start taking care of a baby clam, where the baby starts crying. Patrick's like, SpongeBob, quick, calm him down. And SpongeBob pulls this thing where he's like, "Do-do-do-do-do, look at the funny face, look at the funny face. And he's trying to keep the baby calm, like in any way he can. And I scroll down to the comments and I just see, look at the funny face is the epitome of what the modern seasons of SpongeBob are.
Yeah, they take because don't get me wrong, SpongeBob definitely has its moments of like funny faces and stuff because they use SpongeBob's ability to mess with his shape and stuff. And they mess with that in the first couple seasons because it was just a fun little gag of like, oh, he can do this. But now they've taken it to the extreme, and and not only that, they do a lot of gross out humor. It's like gross. Like you guys may know what I'm talking about, but the whole Squidward nail thing is so gross to look at. Like I don't know who greenlit that idea, but please stop.
There are a lot of episodes that'll just get by the writer's room, and people will be thinking, "Whose idea was this?"
Well,
But the problem is,
SpongeBob should technically be over since you know the creator passed, unfortunately. But Nickelodeon. We Nickelodeon, what a company. Nickelodeon, Disney are and Cartoon Network. All three of them are just in cahoots on how to ruin the cartoons for newer ages. Disney Channel cuts the cartoon in half when they don't like something. Nickelodeon will keep it running past its due date. And Cartoon Network, they'll just play the one same show, so you won't ever see any other shows that they have in their catalog, which they still have, by the way. I don't understand why Teen Titans Go is playing 24/7 when they have other cartoons in their catalog.
well, I do see what you mean, but it comes back to the whole: we got to do what's marketable, what's profitable. And I was in the Afro Animation Summit just 2 days ago,
Hmm.
and one of the panelists talked about how we all in this room are doing animation, hopefully because we love it. We love bringing these unique stories to life, and
Hmm.
sure, it might take some time, but we'll stick with it. That is not how corporations look at animation. You got to
Yeah.
realize there's a timetable. There are people who are looking to make merchandise off of this. People are looking to market it to other spheres of interest. Like instead of merchandise, let's think about branded characters, advertising things. Like when SpongeBob will show up in a Burger King commercial. They're thinking about toy sales. They're just thinking about anything they can attach the product to. So when
But you know
you're
the funny thing is though, nobody watches commercials anymore.
That's true.
Nobody watches actual TV anymore. But here's the thing. And you know what's funny? Because I think a Disney executive said this about the Owl House. We didn't realize how popular it was.
And that's the thing. It's
And
the
that's
difference between artists and business makers.
and which is crazy because as somebody who is supposed to keep track of all the things, you once well one I called that some BS because you know how popular it is. You're watching. You guys are always watching how popular your shows are. You know how popular it was. We all know the reason why they canceled the Owl House.
Family values. Am I right, everyone? Family values.
Family
Don't forget.
values. Don't want all that negativity and bad stuff to rub off on the youth, even though the youth probably doesn't even watch Disney Channel anymore.
But we're getting into hypotheticals. We're getting into, we can't, allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly, let's just say. I can honestly say the same thing with Raya, how I feel like there's some things missing from that movie. Like, I feel like that movie should have been an extra. How long was that movie? That movie was like an hour and like 20, 30 minutes.
Seems like it was a good 90 minutes, the Disney standard.
It should have been like as long as The Incredibles. It should have. I feel like with an extra 30 minutes and maybe cutting out some other things, we could have, and like some other, like working on the story a little bit, that movie could have been great. Because I actually like Raya and the Last Dragon, but allegedly things happen. But I'm glad that the writer, what is it? The writer, I'm pretty sure the writer was a female, or the director was a minority, first of all, and she was a female. So a win is a win.
Don't forget that whole company talk we had before. It doesn't just mean that they're going to hire diverse voices because they want them in the company. Diversity hires a real statement. So keep in mind, the position you have, make the most of it no matter what, because they might just want to have you there just in arm's reach and then still give like the final say to someone else. Do what you can. Pull a Dana Terrace. Make what you can.
Oh yeah.
And influence people no matter what your higher ups say.
Yeah. Do that and then get your show canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, pull a Dana Terrace or Rebecca Sugar, this and there.
Yeah, and then expect your show to get canceled. But I love how yeah. I love how we turned from stop motion animation to talking about animation politics.
Because stop motion is its current state representative of the animation industry as a whole. People wanting to invest in safe, samey ideas instead of going out on these passion projects that get the actual eyes towards.
Which you're not wrong. You are not wrong. Like, I don't know about you, but the newer animation, like animated movies that are coming out, have not been interesting. I can't.
Give me some examples.
Honestly, I honestly couldn't tell you I think Turning Red was probably the first time I had fun in a while, and then people even found a way to hate on that, even though I felt like that was probably the first simple movie that I could appreciate.
Oh, trust me. If you want a Turning Red stand, you got one right here. I forget the name of the boy band, but
Four Town.
Listen,
Four Town. Mm-hmm.
Listen, bro, they need to come to my town. That's all I gotta say.
But, oh yeah, no.
Turning Red was definitely a hit, and guess what? Bilmei Shi. They finally gave woman of color the writing seat, and she was in her bag. She went to work.
Yeah, as she should. No, and I feel like people hated on this movie, and I was just like, look, they have put out a lot of simple movies that just were so not simple, and there was nothing to write about. But this was probably the first simple movie. I was like, it's simple. It projects the message. It has some catchy music. It's not even a musical. It just has music in there, and it's just nice. I really liked it. It was just a breath of fresh air, in my opinion, because lately just things have been coming out. Like, hot take, I wasn't the biggest fan of Luca.
Oh, that's okay. That's definitely a hot take.
I wasn't.
Okay, let's see what else. There was Luca. There was also
Oh, Encanto came out.
yeah, Encanto. What are we thinking? What are we thinking?
I like Encanto. Some of the characters annoyed me, but grandma. But
Well, listen, okay, she had a tough past.
whatever.
You
No,
know,
no,
next
no,
to the
no.
reveal. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, she's fine. No, she's. It's. I get it. I get it. No, I get why she acted that way. Do we excuse it? No, but do we get it? Yes. I did love it. I only really liked 2 songs in that movie, maybe 2.5. That might be a hot take.
Okay, if we're talking about recent Disney movies, I feel like the why we're drawing blanks when it comes to Disney is because they really haven't been making much. Like they took like a pretty sizable hiatus from like the big budget films from like 2016, and then recently they came back with Encanto, and it's like, wow, we expected more, but you kind of just leaving it up to DreamWorks to take over, you know?
Pixar.
Yeah, Pixar and DreamWorks.
Mostly Pixar, and which is I honestly ever since the merge with Pixar, I just feel like things have been not as good. I'm yeah, like because when you think about Pixar's catalog and you think about the fact that there are some of the best animated films are like in The Incredibles and Ratatouille and uh they have a lot more movies. I'm just blanking right now. Pixar has a lot more movies, and I'm just blanking. But those are just 2 prime examples. Oh, Finding Nemo, like Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Monsters Inc. I'm sorry, I just had to look. Wall-E, like you have movies like those, and then it's like I don't know. Ever since the merge, I feel like there just hasn't been, you know, I don't know where the quality has gone. You know,
Well,
and I miss it. I miss that level of quality of movie. I miss the like what happened. Why are we making movies like Toy Story 4 when it's not necessary?
you know, Toy Story 5 actually got announced.
I don't know, and it's why. There's no I feel like I don't know. I don't know why they made a Toy Story 4. I felt like if you wanted more Toy Story content, the shorts that y'all was doing on Disney Channel was fine. Like it's nobody was really watching them, but they were out and they were doing fine. It's like it was so unnecessary. Toy Story 3 wrapped it up because when you think about Toy Story and how it, what it is, it's like for the first 2 movies, we're talking about a child and his love for his toys. And, the third one is about a child who's going, well, not a child anymore, a teenager, almost an adult, going off to college and, having to go part ways with that. And, we've all had that feeling. And it's like he finally parts ways with him. And it's like, it's such a beautiful conclusion. And they made Toy Story 4. And now I'm just like, it just made the ending of the third one kind of like dumb. Because then the fourth one, he, in the fourth one, eh, uh, Woody leaves to have an adventure with Bo Peep, who we haven't seen in a whole minute. We haven't seen Bo Peep in years when the Toy Story 4 comes around. And so when they go off to, have an adventure and all that, it kind of makes it weird. It kind of makes the Toy Story 3 redundant because Toy Story 3 was literally Woody trying to get back to Andy and him being afraid that he won't get played with. And so now he's trapped. And then the what they did to Buzz character in Toy Story 4 was just not. Why? Why are you? He was always like if Woody was the leader, Buzz was the second command, always ready, always keeping Woody calm when he was losing it. He was the strategist, like had all the things. In Toy Story 4, he was none of that. It's like they reset Buzz. Like he's fresh out He's fresh out the factory buzz.
And you know what's crazy, Aubrey?
What?
Toy Story 4 was one of the top 10 grossing films of all time.
And you know what? I believe it because here's the thing: Toy Story has a big following. So while people were very confused on why there was another one, they were also interested. I'm very interested. I want to see what the rating is for Toy Story 4, honestly.
I do too. Hold up. Let's take a break and take a look at that to see what people thought about the fourth Toy Story movie.
Wow. Okay, so I got a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 4.5 from Common Sense Media. Yeah.
Because the thing about creativity is that it's risky. It might not make you money.
You know what's funny though? It may have the high ratings and the money that they gain from it to back its with authenticity. I'm sorry, authenticity. I can't say it. I can't say words today.
What's the word? What are we looking for? Authenticity.
Yes, that word. They may have that to back it up, but the reviews you see from fans shows it all of what people really think about the movie.
At the end of the day, we gotta make sure that what's the word? If they only pay attention to the number, pay your vote with your wallets, then we gotta make some of the most creative stories out there, and still make sure to some extent that they're more meet in the middle in a way where you're so unapologetically you and so creative that people just love your show no matter what. Like Gravity Falls, and all of its personality managed to still be a great story. The Owl House, in all of its unique personality, managed to be itself, even when it got snubbed in the third season, managed to still go out on its own terms. And people love it for that. Disney comes back later and says, wait a second, we never realized a Mystery Shack at Disney World. We never realized that people wanted an Owl House attraction at Disney World. We never knew it was this popular. I was canceled.
They do. They realize it. They just don't want to admit it. But honestly, to say the least, we need to do better for the animation. We just need to do better. We need to bring it back to where it was, because I feel like back when we were younger, we had so many like classic and quality animated movies, and we just don't have that anymore. But as animators ourselves, I guess it's our job to bring that back.
Yep, let's be the first generation of animators that we watched anime. What about it?
What about it?
References in our shows. What about it?
What about it?
Try and stop us. You can't.
You can't. And on
Bleach references.
Yeah, we make references, and then we draw a little bit, do a little fan art.
Make some dramatic poses, dramatic stares. Kanji might be flying out of the characters. Who knows?
Same old. But on that note, this is the end of today's episode. It's a little short, but and at least we got a little bit off topic. We were supposed to be talking about solely stop motion animation, but you know us, get off topic really quick, and that's fine. We'll just name this stop motion and animation politics.
That's right, because you know what they say. When we're all about animation, we go all across the board.
Yeah. Except in like some places, because some places are like kind of forget animation. We're not with that,
But not us.
Not
here,
us.
we always remember what we're about.
We're always remembering.
And what are we all about, Aubrey?
We're all about animation.
That's right. And y'all need to make sure you're too.
Yeah. Please. We should make shirts. What are you all about? We're all about animation. It reminds me of the chant from High School Musical. What team? Wildcat.
We bring it back. We incorporate it. Rob said it always comes back. We're always taking things that made us and putting it into our creations.
Well, I guess for the final word, what are we all about? Justin.
We're all about animation. I've been Justin.
I'm Aubrey. And this has been the podcast. Bye.
Bye.